Can I blow on your belly, make you laugh? What is that?
Oh. Does that tickle? Does that tickle? Say, Aunt Shanny. Say, boil her up. What'd she do, Levi?
Just squealing.
I'll let me get my paper right.
Hey, John. Started again.
Yep.
Hey, Josie.
Now she's looking.
Josie. Josie.
There he is.
Wait a minute.
Can you look up here? Let's grab the head.
Hey.
Oh,
Hey.
no.
Here, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Can you look up there?
Josie.
I have my camera and it's at home. Your papa and I decided we were just gonna go tell your great grandparents we weren't gonna stew and fret about it. We were just gonna come. So we came.
Guess what? We've had a little accident.
Yeah, we came here
And
first.
here you are.
And your great Papa Inboden couldn't have been any better. He just laughed and he said, well, sometimes the first one, they just take 6 months. The others all take 9 months. And then we went and told
These are the little birds at Grandma's bird feeder. Oh, there was a squirrel. Oh, there he is. Yeah, bushy old squirrel. That's a squirrel feeder. And there's a gray squirrel right there. This is Grandma and Grandpa's backyard. See what degrees it is. Looks like it's about 50. It's pretty chilly today. There's the garden.
Alright, it's recording.
Home well got.
Levi's got some magnets in his mouth. Holding up magnets to his cheeks. Kind of creepy.
Oh.
I remember him. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is, yeah, Gabe. This is he just died though, wasn't it, in 2000?
1999.
Pretty close.
There's Prier Grove Church. We're just north of it.
Looks like the deer starting to get out here.
And this is where great-grandpa Inboden, John W., is buried.
I believe it is. John Will Bailey. Is buried here too. John W. Bailey is the other one. He's the one I remember. As a kid, he was old. How old?
So he would have been 20, he wouldn't even been 20 years old when the war started. He was 17. Did he start out fighting right when he was 17?
I don't know.
I wonder.
Some of them went earlier than that.
Is this where you got, they first tried to get your name? Otho?
There's an Otho
There's an
back
Otho
in the family. See, but Harlan Otho is what they named me.
Yeah, I know. But
Alric.
so there was an Otho, huh?
Mm-hmm. Arthur Inboden,
Yeah. Son of J.W. and M.A. Inboden.
Really? Now I didn't.
Yep.
J.W. had a stillborn?
Looks like it.
Or no, it had a.
Age 5 months and 26 days.
Had a little baby that died.
Yep. Arthur G.
I don't remember that.
So now who would this would be Grandpa Great's.
These would be Ulysses' family, so that'd be Ulysses'
brother.
That'd be
Okay.
Ulysses'
That's
brother.
Ulysses'
That's
brother
Ulysses'
too.
brother as well.
Yeah.
Otho.
He was young too.
That's heaven on there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's the gates.
It's really a neat old stone.
It's the gates and the
Early gates.
early gates.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
Jerusalem back there, or
The dome.
the domes.
That's kind of an elaborate stone.
Yeah, for back then.
You think for 1904, that was a very elaborate stone.
And he was only
He's
15,
15
so.
years old. That's odd. Wonder what he may have got sick with the flu. That would have been.
Well, about
that's
04 is
the-
when the flu went
That's
through.
about the time Ulysses' first wife died.
Mary.
So yeah, he would have been real young
1950.
compared to Grandpa Les then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When was Liz born?
I thought he was born in 74.
1874.
Yeah.
When he was about 30.
We'll find out because he's up at Shire.
He
We'll,
is. He
we'll
was
stop
40.
at Shire if you want to.
Yeah.
Well, she was 42 when he was born.
Yeah.
That's pretty old.
That's probably could have been part of the problem.
Could have been.
One of those little miracles, late miracles.
This is, he died August 4th, 1882.
Looks like it. 1882. He died before Otho was
He
born
was 7 years old for him. He was probably after.
and lived only. There was sometimes they talked about the tribe and there was always sickness. So you wonder if maybe they
Might
died
be.
that they know of.
But this tire's still different.
Yeah, that's Prior. Unless they goofed up when
They probably did.
did it.
Amy Prior.
There's a Levi over there. Levi Cox and Susan.
You gotta be kidding me. This lady, is this girl's name Amazona? Amazona.
I'd like to have a name like that.
Like the diamond.
I need it right here. And John's right
They're
there.
taking Grandpa's grave. Bless his whole heart.
That is some sin. I don't know.
Rikers.
And that's Ayton down there, right?
Yes. Now that's Vicky Vicker's mother. Is buried down there in the corner. Shirley Newble, and then Ayton. This is place up there.
Okay.
This is Grandpa Smokes right here in the curve.
Ah, there it is.
So all I had to do to get here to the big Taylor to hunt was
Cut
come
across
right
the
across
field?
that field.
So this
And there was oil lanes everywhere. I just walked the oil lanes or rode my bike.
John W. owned it.
There was the story I was told. John W. owned this side of the road and that side of the road. either 80 acres and 80 acres or 160 160.
Did he buy it or get a homestead or?
He got it from a homestead government grant.
Yeah.
What I was told by Grandpa, got it from the federal government, so you signed for it. I don't know what they had to pay, Buff, but it was interesting because at some point in time, somebody's got that document because the federal government had let 2 different timber companies log it.
Yeah.
And after the second logging, they opened it to the public, and our family got their hands on it. And so we had a piece and another piece, and then somehow the Lackeys, which would have been a sister to Liz,
Yeah.
got this side of the road.
And that's how we're tied in with like,
Well, see, now Liz married a Lackey,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Barbara.
Liz, Mary.
See, and it was her family that, I think it goes back even a generation before. I think the Lackeys have always had this East 80 or East 160, and then the Inbodens had the other. But it ended up the Lackeys got 3/4 of the last 160. They had 120 and the Inbodens had 40 on the southwest corner. And then I swear at one point in time, from what I was told, the Inbodens owned all the way up to Eureka Church. But as they didn't need the ground, they let people have it, like other people come from Pennsylvania or wherever. So we're looking for a place, have an 80 up here, or have a
Did they
40.
sell it or just let them live on it until they took
I
it
don't know
by?
how they did that. There probably had to be some sort of a transaction.
Everybody's really looking for money. 'Cause the oil, that's about before all the oil boomed, right?
Oh yeah, that's way back before the oil boom.
Yeah,
Oil
the
boom came in
down
like
here.
8.
Everywhere except on the.
Where'd Shannon go, please?
She's up there with Jacob.
And the oil boomed on everybody's property, but the Inbodens.
It's just like, it's funny, we didn't have the oil. I don't
Yeah.
know whether we let the mineral rights get away or it just wasn't there or what. Yeah. Okay. And that was all the Lackeys. This hillside was clean. He had it pastured with, I don't know if goats or what, but there was a pasture right in here and he had a fence. And right around that bluff is where his root cellar sits, in the side of the bluff, like you want it, facing north. And it's just right down there.
Well,
Butch
what-
had made it into a hideout when I was a kid. It was where Butch hung out, smoked cigarettes.
Did Butch live with him?
Well, when he came back, yeah. When he came back from the army, yeah. This was the end of the Inboden property right there, went straight that way. Okay,
This is the cut.
and from there on, the Lackeys owned that 40, and then both of these 80s when I was a kid. But this is just been a swamp. Ever since I was a kid, that's just been a slough.
We rabbit hunted there too, didn't we? For some
Oh
reason,
yeah,
in the field,
good rabbit
walking
hunt.
across it.
Good rabbit hunt. And then the Lackey's home place was up here, and it was nice. It was a mansion by.
Was that been Perry's
Could
parents?
have been Perry's parents. It was just absolutely outstanding by by that day's standards. It was a big old 2-story house. They had things like upright pianos, and it sat right in here on this knob. Big old barns. It had been fantastic in its day, but the story I got, according to Grandpa, smoked, and this would have been the drive. It sat here, house there, barns over there, and there were so many of the kids that when their parents died, they couldn't decide what they wanted to do, and they just closed the house. And there it sat. I went in the house as a kid, and the dishes were still on the table. It's just like they walked out. It was so weird. And one of the old folks there had a wheelchair. It scared the bejeepers out of me. It was sitting there. They had positioned that wheelchair looking north out over a big picture window. And I walked in there and I thought, what in the world is that? Big old high back wheelchair, wooden, beautiful wheelchair. It was neat. But I don't ever remember a house there, but there's where the house was. And back in the 70s when we had those ice storms, your dad and we came out here and we scattered feed under these trees. The quail came in here by the dozens. There was quail in here looking for food.
Did you shot them?
No, we fed them.
Oh, okay.
We fed them that winter. Then we
I
shot them the
figured
next
you shot
winter. Well, no, we fed them. They would just roost up in here. Because those cedars had kind of broken the ice. They could get in here and pick dirt.
Yeah.
And then this was a Lackey's. And this is where they kept the mountain lion, right here in this little cage right here.
Oh, when he got shot, somebody snuck in here
Somebody
and
shot him. And then this was the Kinchins. They lived here. Now Davy Dix is there. And see, none of this was here when I was a kid. There's a really nice black mushroom patch right over the hill there. And
when I was a kid, they farmed that. We picked up arrowheads all over this hillside. There was a lot of good arrowhead hunting right there.
All kinds of
Kind of an Indian mound.
Yeah.
There's just houses everywhere here now. You just
Didn't used to be.
It's just really, honestly, kind of really scary.
Yeah.
what's that, baby?
Being out here at night all by yourself in a house.
This is
You
really
could
good.
not
A good
pay me-
blacktop road all the way
Pay me to
up.
hunt out here or stay out here by myself.
That's why I carry a gun when I
Just back that way, I used to deer hunt with Dad.
right there in the Harbison Bottom. And this is Eureka Church where Granny Inboden went to church, and it's the first church I ever remember going to. And sitting in the front row and as a little kid getting my jaws boxed for making
Really
noise.
nice little house. Whoever
That's
fixed
Toby
it up.
Inboden's house.
Oh.
And he's got a hog farm back there. And I don't know who owns the church now, but I wanted the bell. Somebody got it. It's gone.
It is gone.
Somebody took it out of there.
Or it fell down.
It could have went through.
But this isn't the same one we drove
$35 a
by
piece for
yesterday.
church benches.
Or is it Lys's children that he comes from?
No.
There's a bunch of
It would have been
Inboden's
John's,
here.
honey. That's where because John W. had a bunch
John is
of
the Great
family.
Divide.
Yeah, that's where it gets really tricky. And that guy tried to tell us that there was an Inboden buried there that wasn't related to the rest of them. I'm like, yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
All of them.
How'd he spell his name? Like, we're kin.
I bet there's still a lot of Inbodens over in Ohio too.
There
If we
are.
did,
There are.
wouldn't that be something to go over and try to find some of them,
Yeah.
like the
When
dead ones?
we were down in the Smokies a year ago camping.
Yeah.
And we took a drive off through. We were in Kentucky. We crossed over. We were in Tennessee. We looped back around. We were in Virginia. It was just
Yeah.
a real quick loop. It's down in there around Butcher Holler where Loretta Lynn's from. And there was a place there called Inboden, Virginia, because there was an Inboden First United Methodist Church. A beautiful church right there. And I didn't know there was Inboden, Virginia.
So there's Inboden in Arkansas.
I knew that. I've seen that. Right up here's the church. I'd like to have the bell, not up Shannon here, Stoy. It is huge.
What would you do with it?
I'd make a nice
Whatever
display
you do.
thing for it in the front yard. I got
Yeah.
a fascination with bells.
Okay.
It's right here. It just
So then when the Lord comes to get us, he can just bring it in our front yard.
So happy.
I'm a machinist and I'm around metallurgy all the time.
Take the bell
And
off
for
the spool.
someone to pour a bell is just like that's
Hard.
perfection.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's tough.
So how would you go about getting that?
I just take the top off the
Steal
church
it.
and pick it up.
Oh. All right.
Yeah. We lift stuff like that all the time. Set a crane up out the road and pick it up, put it on the truck, take it home.
Now, which one of these ditches, Dan, is the one that Grandpa and Pat drove off into that
Right
time?
over there. They went off that way.
Grabbing it off of that.
No, Pat. And Grandpa Pat got up here and had
Grandpa,
one of her
great
spells and went
smoke.
right off in there. I don't
Did
think
have
she ever
seizures?
slowed down. Oh, she had seizures often.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
Mom was driving by here and found him, and Grandpa walked up the hill and was sitting up here, and she said, "Grandpa, are you all right?" He said, "I'm doing fine, but I think I've filled my britches."
Right there's where he went, right off.
And he just left Pat in the car.
Well, I don't think he could get her.
Well, I think the ambulance was helping her try to get
Yeah.
up out of there. Shannon, people had stopped and helped them. Cemetery. It's all gravel again. You stay right on the road, you're good. But I don't know when the church works as graveyard. It's all gravel. And the whole circle's all gravel. It used to not be, but it is. We have a tendency to do that.
There's Grandpa right there. There's him and Uncle Dan. 1979 it says. There's Grandma and Dorothy.
Watch tonight or this evening. We got 200.
I think it's perfect in there now. I want it a little bit more.
There's Grandpa Great.
You got a big crowd that may get warm and kick it on down.
Don't do like I do. Think yourself at that. I get to talking and forget.
It's Grandma and Grandpa Rich.
Sprung it all over.
I don't even see Grandpa in this picture. He must have been taking a picture. There he is. There he is on his 40th wedding anniversary with Grandma and Sam and 80. Here we are down there at Christmas in our basement. There's Grandpa. Swanee behind him, and Sue, Beth, Pat, Grandma, Sherry, Gary, Uncle Dan, there's Bev, Dorothy, and Aunt Neater, that's Jeff, that must be little Sarah, that's Laura right there, my sister. Not wanting to focus real well. It's Uncle Short. There's Doug, Lori, there's me, Mom, Bob behind her, and is Lisa. I don't know who that is, that's Dusty probably. There's Brian, and that is Rhonda, Burl, Steve, Tip, Mike, Butch, Carla back there. Oh, who's some of those little ones? There's Harold and Phyllis and Grandma and Grandpa at the Grand Canyon. And here's the Inboden reunion this year, I think. No, yeah. There's the Rich reunion. There's Chubby and Uncle Charles and Bonnie. There's all the brothers and sisters one year. There they are another year. There they are at Christmas.